Now, a lack of easy and convenient access to electric vehicle charging stations is hampering EV uptake. That's according to a new report published by Metro Vancouver. And joining us today to tell us a little bit more about that report is Morgan Braglewicz. She's an air quality planner with Metro Vancouver Regional District. Morgan, hi, good afternoon to you.
Hi, great to be speaking with you.
Yeah, you too. What would you say are the big findings from this report?
Yeah, so as you hinted at there, one of the main findings in the report is that folks living in detached homes, townhomes, are generally quite satisfied with the access to EV charging that they get if they're in an EV-ready building. However, only about half of the EV drivers surveyed living in apartment or condo buildings that are EV-ready reported that they were satisfied with their ability to get an EV charger installed in parking in their buildings. And the report found that the reason for that in many cases was just a need for more clarity around what EV ready means, how EV charging operates, and the costs that might be associated with that. So some opportunities there to provide for more information to folks living in those buildings to address that.
Okay, so what can you tell us about the current state of EV adoption in the Metro Vancouver area?
So Metro Vancouver is a leader across North America in terms of EV sales. There is a strong consumer-driven EV market. We expect that to continue. And just to put some numbers to that, in 2024, about 1 in 4 new vehicles registered in the region was an EV, and just over 5% of vehicles on the road today are electric vehicles.
Okay, and how important is the ability to charge at home, do you think? What are you hearing from people who are considering getting an EV?
It's really critical. Yeah, we've consistently been hearing through surveys and otherwise that the ability to access charging is one of the top factors that people are considering when they're thinking about buying an EV. So that's really influencing people's decision making on whether or not they want to move ahead with an EV.
Okay, just how does the charging experience at home compare to the experience of owners in apartment buildings?
So generally, EV drivers prefer to drive at home. It's convenient and it's cheap. So that applies to people living in both detached homes and apartment or condo buildings. Where things differ is that it's pretty straightforward for the most part to install EV charging in a detached home. It's just the homeowner making the decision for their own property, and the installation is usually not too complex. However, in apartment or condo buildings, that decision making can be more challenging as it's a shared decision making for everybody living in the building, oftentimes. And it can also be more complex and more costly to move forward with the installation of the EV charging infrastructure.
Okay, well, what about rental properties? Where does that fit into the picture?
Yeah, rental properties definitely do face some unique challenges. In many cases, the person who's renting is not the person who's making the decision on whether or not to install EV charging in their parking space. That would rest with the building owner or the management. So that creates a bit of a challenge there. And then in cases where a renter may not have dedicated parking, then they would be relying on public charging.
Okay, and where are we at with public charging and access to that?
So we've been looking ahead to see what we think the demand for public charging will be as we see more and more EVs on the road. And we do think there's going to be a need to really scale that up to meet the demand that's coming. So having widespread ability to charge at home will be really important, and it will reduce the demand, the burden for public charging. But there will always be some folks who aren't able to access charging at home and will need to access that public charging. So we're anticipating quite a large scale up in public EV charging over the coming years.
You know, Metro Vancouver published another report recently saying that half of Metro Vancouver residents could live in apartments by the year 2051. So given what you're saying about the challenges related to charging in apartments, what effect you think this could have on EV adoption in the region?
Yeah, so over that same time period, we're expecting to see a potentially pretty dramatic increase in the amount of EVs. The good news is that right now, EV-ready bylaws cover most new residential construction in the region. So that means that new condo and apartment buildings that are being built today are being built to be EV-ready. So the ability to add EV charging down the line when a future resident or homeowner wants to make that decision should be really pretty straightforward and fairly low cost. So that's great. And for those who are living in older buildings, they're going to be looking at undertaking renovations or retrofits in order to support EV charging.
Okay, well, there's lots of new buildings being built right now. What would your message be? I guess what needs to happen?
Well, it's really great news that we have EV-ready bylaws in place in most of the municipalities where a lot of that development is occurring. Most of the municipalities in Metro Vancouver that have this are leading municipalities across Canada, so that's really encouraging to see those fall into place. Supports for those older buildings that were built before EV charging was considered will be really important. There's some great information out there to support homeowners that might want to undertake those retrofits, as well as some rebates to support the cost for that.
Morgan, we're really glad you were able to join us today. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
That is Morgan Braglewicz, an air quality planner with Metro Vancouver Regional District.